So ever since getting my first laser cutter on the channel, I've been dealing with this issue of fume extraction. I didn't think it would be such a difficult thing to solve. I just put a hose outside and then hopefully all the fumes go out. But as soon as I got my air quality monitor, I noticed that that didn't really work. It would just blow back in and you'd still be sitting in unsafe levels of PM2.5 and PM10 and TVOCs depending on the type of material that you're actually cutting. As I've moved into this new space, I would like to set up the fume extraction in a way that's actually sustainable for the types of projects that we do. Now, the types of laser cutters I have on the channel are really awesome. They're very high powered ones. Recently I received this one from AtomStack, the Glacier. That's a 120 watt module, and that means we can cut through very thick multiplex material or OSB, and that's the type of stuff that I've been doing as well. I've been building storage crates with this laser cutter, for example. So the most ideal situation is that you have some kind of hole in the wall which you can use to extract stuff. My apartment does come with an air filtration system that's built into this space, which also pumps air out via this little gap outside, but that's mostly for sucking out the normal air and then sucking in the good air from the windows and that kind of stuff. Seems so I rent this space though, I don't want to mess with that whatsoever. That's too big of a risk for me, to be quite honest with you. So the only extraction point that I have right now is the doorway. So I figured if I build an extraction system, I'd do it the proper way this time around and actually build a separate doorway that can sit inside of this one. And that way we have a thing that can close, but the outside door is open and then we can just extract all the fumes. And we have something that we can modify without pissing off the landlord, essentially. So I'm using a 3D scanner app on my iPhone here just to get that into the CAD software. And the 3D scanner app on the iPhone is actually really neat because it levels it straight away as well. That's because it uses the GPS data, I believe, and the rotational data of the device itself. After that, I took it into Shaper 3D just to model out the actual door frame over here. And the material that we're using this time around is aluminium extrusions. Really handy stuff because it comes with a bunch of accessories as well, like little locks, little hinges, and that just takes care of a lot of the issues that we have to solve when building a doorway. It's also really neat because we can take this doorway with us when we move to a different space, right? So the design that I eventually came up with is basically this outer frame, which then attaches to the inner frame, which is the actual door. We have these little hinges in between there, and the inner frame actually holds some multiplex sheets in place. So I ordered most of my aluminium profile on Alex Profile. It's been pretty good so far. I don't have an affiliation with them whatsoever, but they've delivered every time and all of the components were included with the packaging, so that's pretty cool. On the website itself, you can also download the step files for the different components that you want to use. So you can actually pre-check in the CAD software if everything fits okay. So the first thing I did is I took the longer pieces of the outside frame to my drill press. I drilled 2 holes on each side, and that just allows us to connect it to the wooden door frame with some screws. After that, we can install these M5 thread holes and install these little plates which hold the outside door frame in place. Now, if you'd like access to the design files, you can check those out on my Patreon page. I upload pretty much all the stuff I make over there, and all of the proceeds go directly back into the channel. That really helps me out. So I first just constructed a U shape, pushed that into the doorway, and then attached the top component over there. And that accounts for the outside frame, which holds the inside door in place. Now, the inside door is actually a couple millimeters shorter on each length, just because it needs to account for the rotation of the doorway as well. When we attach it to the hinges, it needs to fall into its place. So I still had a fair few sheets of this multiplex laying around. This is actually 18mm thick, which is a little bit thicker than I actually wanted to have in this door frame. But as soon as we have these sheets cut to size, I could use this little bit on the plunge router, and that will allow us to get rid of the excess material. And this will result in a very nice fit in the door frame as well, because it just slides into the aluminium extrusions over here. And because the inside of the aluminium extrusion is now being occupied by the multiplex, we need these plates at the corners, just so we can hold the entire frame in place. I actually really like the look of this. It looks very industrial, but if you'd like to go for a cleaner look, you might want to go for something different. As for the second sheet of multiplex, I want to make sure we saw some holes into this so that we can actually attach the fume extraction hose onto that with some 3D printed components. So if you're enjoying the video so far, then definitely consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Usually I do more build videos where I take stuff apart and then construct something with 3D printed components. Lately I've been doing more studio build stuff because the new studio needs to be built, and that's been occupying most of my time as well. It's pretty cool though. I've been building some concrete wall panels as well, which might be an interesting video for the future. I'm not entirely sure how much weight the hinges actually hold, but they seem to be holding up quite decently. As for the door itself, I added this handle to the side so it's easier to open. And now I started work on the actual fume extraction side of things. So I measured up the gap that we saw in it earlier so that we could model out and 3D print a little attachment that would connect to the hose itself. I actually wanted to make this sort of like a quick release system so you could actually detach the hose really quickly as well. But that's something I want to do in a future video because I first want to see how rugged the system actually is and see if it actually works well. Now, if you don't have a 3D printer, you might want to check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offers a lot of high-end manufacturing services ranging from PCB production and assembly, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, and of course also 3D printing. So I've been using their 3D printing manufacturing services for higher end projects where we need really high quality materials or high quality components essentially. Also mainly because they use very advanced machinery to do that 3D printing process, right? So you could 3D print stuff in metal, for example, or in carbon fiber, that kind of stuff. So that's really awesome. The process of ordering is really simple. You just upload a file, select the material type that you want to use, the quantity, and then they come up with an instant quote for what that's going to cost. So definitely check them out. I'll leave some links in the description down below. And special thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Now, I've 3D printed this component on the Elegoo Century Carbon, which is a pretty decent printer actually. I printed it with a brim here, so I'm using this deburring tool to get rid of the edge. And then I just screw it directly into the multiplex. And after that, I ordered some of this flexible tubing. This is 125mm thick. There's no particular reason I went for the silver version here, other than that it's the cheapest I could find. And this stuff is quite expensive actually. It's like 20 euros per 5 meters, I believe. Now, alongside that, we also need some kind of fan to actually extract the fumes from the laser cutter. And the laser cutters usually come with a fan on the side. But I'd actually like something that's a little bit stronger. And I'm not entirely sure if this is stronger in any regard, but it does seem to me that these larger fans, which are made for extracting through a ventilation system outside, should be decent at extracting the fumes from a laser cutter as well, although I'm not entirely sure if that's true. Now, because this is 200mm instead of the 125, I 3D printed some of these adapters and I duct taped those to the fan itself. After that, I put the laser cutter in place. I usually shift the laser cutter from this room into the other space because there's soot buildup on the bed of the laser cutter, which smells really bad as well. So I'd rather leave that in the 3D printing room instead of my living room. I attached the hose to the original mount on the side of the laser cutter. This still has the fan from the laser cutting enclosure attached to it, which actually isn't recommended to have two fans in line with each other. And before laser cutting, I of course measured the air quality in here. PM2.5 is at 5, TVOC is at 0.200, which is pretty decent. And for this first test over here, I'm just laser cutting another box, which is made out of OSB. So during the cutting process, I noticed immediately something was wrong. Alright, so I've been venting the space for a couple minutes now, but I'm still at very unsafe levels, 107 at PM2.5 and 130 on the PM10. So that's not great. Pretty demoralizing, to be quite honest, spending that much money on a doorway and then being like nothing has actually changed. It's just as bad as when it's not being extracted outside. What I noticed is that as soon as I opened the door that we just built, the front door was somewhat closed as well. So I was possibly just pumping it against that and then sucking it back in as well because we have negative pressure in the space. So I can still smell it and the numbers are going up right now, but that was mostly because I was holding pressure on the door and there's a little bit of leakage next to it. So I think the smoke is coming in via that direction. So essentially what I noticed is that because we're creating negative pressure in the space, the door is tilted ever so slightly open, like 2 or 3 millimeters. And that's sucking back in all of the fumes that are being pumped outside, of course. And so as soon as I stood next to the door at the beginning of a laser cut and just held it down, everything would be fine. The PM2.5 levels would be at like 20 or 24. So I did actually order some locks with this kit, and I'm just installing those over here so that we can lock the door tight and in that way prevent the leakage from entering the space. So there's definitely some things that we could do to the door to make it even better. Like there's these inserts for aluminium extrusions, which are rubber gaskets, and that would create an airtight seal around it. That's possibly an upgrade that I would love to do in the future. But for the second test, it went really quite well. The PM2.5 levels here stayed under 25, which isn't necessarily good air quality, but it's better than having it in excess of 200, like I was having it before. And in general, I'm quite chuffed with how this project actually turned out. It's a big improvement over the extraction system I had set up before. And I hope this video helped you out. I hope it gave you some inspiration, and hopefully see you in the next one.